Hey y'all, what's good? I appreciate y'all coming through on the Periscope, the YouTube,
Yes.
good stuff. We got to have this dire discussion today, especially after the last couple days. We have seen the vitriol over these we got to watch our language, right? These syringe cards, as we're going to call them. You know what I'm talking about already, right? And how to fight for your liberty, how to fight for your freedom, how to fight for your constitutional rights, and how that works out, right? As y'all know, the young lady next to me, if you do follow me or you follow on Twitter, you know that is Miss Aja Smith. She is actually a congressional candidate for California 41. Yeah, California 41. Yep, in California. So especially my folks in California listening, pay attention, because we're going to bring you a lot of facts. We're going to bring you a lot of call to action. And if you're really serious about saving the United States, I suggest you pay attention and listen, because you're not going to hear this raw anywhere else.
It's unfiltered.
Unfiltered and uncensored. Now, Ms. Aja, if you want to introduce yourself to everybody that's going to be coming through,
hey, everybody. You know, today's the day for us in California. And I just voted. I dropped off my mail-in ballot. I did an IGTV video because I was heated, I was frustrated, and I was motivated to get you guys out to vote today to recall Gavin Newsom. If you follow me on Twitter, if you follow me on Instagram, look at my video for every reason to stop Gavin Newsom, to get him out, to stop the political dynasty of the Pelosi family, the Brown family, and the Newsom family, who have controlled us here for so long, where we're not only going to be making history today, we're going to send a message to Washington, D.C., and to every elitist out there that we know our constitutional rights. We know how the republic works, because we are sick and tired. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian, an Independent, or I just don't care. I don't want to be bothered with politics. This is where we make and send a message to these elitists, not only in Sacramento, but in Washington, D.C., saying we've had enough. As I always say, as California goes, the rest of the nation follows. So we can get through this yes vote. We impacted the nation. We impacted the world. And there's so much stuff going on, especially with the Biden administration, but we have to be the change. So I'm asking everybody to vote yes, to get out there and vote, grab your friends, get those ballots in, go vote in person, and you can follow me on those platforms, and you can go to my website, www.ajasmith, A-J-A Smith, S-M-I-T-H, for Congress. And I thank you, Rod, for getting on here, because I see there's a lack of understanding and knowledge when it comes to Constitution, especially from my Republican cousins, my Republican brothers and sisters, and those of you who are babies in the party and running. It's about knowing the Constitution, especially on the federal level.
Oh, ain't no doubt about that. I think we have to really.
Does my hair look bad?
Man, go ahead with that hair nonsense, girl. Come on now.
Look,
come on now. We ain't worried about that hair.
I'm fighting today. I said we got to do this today in California. Otherwise.
I hear you. Now, serious talk though, y'all. I mean, if I'm just gonna put this out there right now for everybody that's watching in Periscope land and YouTube land. If you're not ready to get uncomfortable, I suggest just turn this off right now, because we're gonna say some things that's gonna upset, both the left and the right in this situation. Because again, the United States is dependent on the individual to stand up for their individual rights and constitutional rights, right?
Correct.
And if we cannot unite on that issue, then all is lost.
Correct.
Right? All is lost at this point. Now, I want to come out the gate with the stinger. Aja, I want to come out the gate with the stinger. And for all of you pro BLMers and all this stuff, let me tell you something. That chant, no justice, no peace, no racist police, you need to put that shit to bed. You need to hang that shit up on the wall somewhere. Because what you should be asking for is to overturn Terry v. Ohio. You should be asking to overturn Cruikshank. Okay. This is what you need to be talking about. We're not talking about removing police. We're not talking about any of that, right? Because if you know anything about your constitutional rights, you know Terry v. Ohio circumvented your Fourth Amendment by instilling stop and frisk.
But let me interject real quick. People don't look past this first and second. There's other amendments, and people need to study the other amendments. Now go ahead.
No, exactly. And Terry gave the police state the right to stop you anytime they feel like it on reasonable suspicion, not probable cause, reasonable suspicion. Y'all got to understand this, right? You folks, you BLM folks and all of that stuff that are, all that. You got to understand. You can chant that chant all you want to, but the legislation is not going to change. The Supreme Court case is not going to change. You want to get the police off your back? You need to start hollering overturn Terry, overturn Cruikshank. And those of you that don't know, the Cruikshank decision back in the mid 1800s gave the state the ability to take away your civil liberties at any time under reasonable suspicion. See, this is what we should be talking about right now, but we're not. You want to chant in the streets and talk about it's okay to beat up police and not comply. Well, hello, if you overturn Terry, you don't have the compliance issue, right? This is where you got to understand your constitutional rights, your Fourth Amendment right, especially in this situation, to be able to be secured in your person.
Correct.
But y'all don't want to hear that.
They just want to hear freedom of speech. That's it. Yeah. That's my freedom of speech, but it's more to it.
Yeah, I mean, and even circumventing the Fourth Amendment, like they have as set precedent for other things to usurp your First Amendment, right? Your freedom of speech, your freedom of association. It's killed all of that, but no one wants to march down the street talking about overturning Terry, overturning Cruikshank, to get your civil liberties back. I don't care what side of the paradigm you are on in this, the left or the right, because I don't subscribe to either one of the sides. Never have, never will. People might think I'm a right winger, but I've always been a down winger, always. But you got to understand, your civil liberties is more important than fighting with your cousins on the left and fighting with your cousins on the right. It's more important because if they take all of that away, now the one of y'all going to be fighting over nothing.
And it's happening with the statism.
Exactly. You're going to be fighting over whose oppression is worse. Whose oppression is worse. And I'm sorry, all of us are participating in the oppression Olympics. I don't care what skin tone, what creed, what race you are. All of us are participating in the oppression Olympics because the one thing no one is talking about is the governmental oppression on the people and the circumventing of civil liberties.
Correct.
Period.
Correct. I mean, we've had these conversations, we've talked about this, but it really disappoints me that I see the people who've been in the game longer than me. I've been participating actively for 15 years, where I started learning 20 years ago. And I started really digging into a lot of things because, of course, in high school, I'm a Gen Xer, so I can say I wasn't brainwashed as much, but I saw it coming into my high school and even when I started college. But you have to start thinking out of the box and how you learned. And I hope I explained that a little bit, because some people say, well, I learned it this way. Okay, where do you live? Well, I live in a red state and this and this and this. And I said, no, you have to start learning and unlearning and really looking at things at a different perspective, outside looking in. And just because that interpretation that you're so used to, you can't look at it and how you want to interpret it. You have to look at it how it was written during those times and how the forefathers foresaw these things happening. You can't look at it from a right perspective or a left perspective. You have to look at it word for word and get you an old dictionary on what those words mean. And I know, was it last weekend or so? You say get the law dictionary. Get
the Black's Law Dictionary and Johnson's Dictionary.
Yep. Because words have changed over time. And if you're not studying those words and how they were implemented, then that's why we're in the mess we are in today. Just like the Second Amendment, we always say, well, I have the right to bear arms. I have the right to bear arms. But this is where I challenge my brothers and sisters and cousins on the right. The Mulford Act in California. Okay? If we're going to go down this road, we can go down this road and I can challenge it. So the Black Panthers didn't have the right to bear arms just because they had a different political ideology. And guess who was governor? Ronald Reagan.
President Reagan. Yep.
And he was a Republican.
Yep.
That's why we can't open carry in California. How come that law was never overturned or went to the Supreme Court at this day and age to say we're overturning it just because you didn't like the Black Panthers, you were too scared of them? But you got to look at their history too. They started after school lunch programs for a lot of Black kids. That's where we get the after school lunch programs from the Black Panthers, where you agree with them or not. And don't say, oh, well, she agrees. No, you look at history. Same thing with the 13th Amendment. There's two 13th Amendments. You say slavery was over. No, they modified the 13th Amendment and made a second one to put a lot of slaves back into slavery, into concentration camps. You can look at the Devil's Punch Bowl in Mississippi.
Yep.
So you got to understand, even when Andrew Johnson became president after Lincoln was assassinated, that's where we lost our republic. That's where we lost our constitutional rights.
Yep.
That's where the Black Codes came from, the Jim Crow. So when we're talking about the Fourth Amendment, because we only concentrate on certain amendments, but when we start talking about the other amendments and we start talking about having cards to walk around, hello, didn't you not study Nazi Germany? Didn't you not study communism, Maoism? Didn't you not study Stalin and Mussolini? But you want to preserve history. You want to fight over the Robert E. Lee statue.
What they talking about?
Because you want to preserve history, or if it was racist history or not, but you're not understanding the 14th Amendment is a violation of our rights when they want us to have this vaccine card. So if you follow me on Twitter, it was a great video by two people, and I posted them, and it started up a great conversation. I'm one of those people. I just start up the conversations and look at the idiocracy of it.
I know
you
that's
missed
right.
the whole point of my post about the pedophiles. You missed the whole point, because all they have to do is say you're violating my privacy. You missed that point because you don't read. You don't read.
Say it.
I already know that pedophiles. Well, you're comparing pedophiles to the disease. No, I'm comparing it because they will say you're the principle of the privacy right.
Yes, right. See, and that's the biggest problem.
Get out your little bubbles. Get out. I mean, people really think I sit at home and tweet all day. No, I'm actually going around. I'm observing. I'm thinking. I could be at the mall. I could be doing other things. And I'll say, you know what? I'm just going to fire up this conversation because I see something that people really comprehend and think? The whole post was about your rights to privacy on certain issues, especially medical.
That kills me, because I saw that whole thread and how people were literally trying to defend pedophiles. And it's like, you clearly do not understand the principle of liberty. You don't understand the principle of the Fourth Amendment, because if you are okay with people walking around with vaccination cards, right? Correct. Then you are also okay with sexual predators walking around with a card identifying themselves as a sexual predator. That's the principle. But they don't walk around with that card because guess what? Right?
Privacy.
It's their privacy. But it's everybody.
Well, you can look on the voter the sex list. I said, so you telling me, yes, you can, but that's if they live in your neighborhood. But if you're telling me, as a person who is unvaxxed, if I want to go to Disneyland, I have to show that I'm vaccinated. And I tell people I do wear the mask. I said I just do it because I got to go grocery shopping. I got to go function. So I do wear the mask. But now you're saying that I can't go out to eat. I can't do this. I can't do that unless I'm vaccinated. So let me ask you, vaxxers, those who promote the vaccination. So you got vaccinated. You and your family, kids, everybody, dog, grandma, tia, and abuela. Everybody got that.
She'll throw abuela in there.
Okay, I'm from California, Southern California. My godmother's from Guatemala, so yes, I will spit out some terms. I do little hablo
Espanol.
Okay, it's kind of broken because I'm from California. So you're vaccinated. So you're going to Disneyland. So you see a guy in line. He could be vaccinated, but you have this guy. He kind of look creepy. He came in that Scooby-Doo van, parked way out in the parking lot. I did it. I said it. And he's in Disneyland, even though he's vaccinated. But he's taking pictures, video, kids in the bathroom. Because, you know, they got rights now to go into another bathroom. And you're wondering, oh, my God, he's a pedophile. But I had to show that I'm vaccinated. But his thing is, I have a Fourth Amendment right. Because Disneyland is not going to check if anybody is on the sex registration list. Because they just want to take your money and for you to spend your money. And that was the whole point. And I used those analogies because to me, they were simple analogies. And I see right now that I had to bust out a PowerPoint and some sock puppets because y'all don't get privacy. You guys don't get that part where one group can say, you're violating my privacy now, but I can't say that. I can't say you're violating my privacy if I got vaccinated or not. It's between me and my doctor. Why do I need to show a card? Right. What next? Am I have to show a card to see if I have cancer or diabetes or epilepsy? I mean, where does it stop?
It doesn't stop.
Where does it stop of showing a card? And somebody else said this is leading to that One Healthcare. One Healthcare. You know, I know people love that One Healthcare, socialized medicine, but this is it, people. But if you don't want nobody to know every element that you have, I have that right as well. Under the Fourth, and I think we touched on the Ninth Amendment before too, didn't we?
Yes, we have. Yep, we have. Where
do you draw the line on privacy? You know, if I'm wearing a mask, I'm washing my hands, I'm taking my vitamins every day, I'm juicing, I'm working out, I'm staying healthy, I have a good clean-up bill. Why do I need to show anybody that I'm healthy? Right. And I'm not a spreader. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had 3 friends who've died of COVID. I know at least 7 people who had family members who've died of COVID. And I'm not one of those people in the beginning, oh, it's just the flu. No, I was never one of those people. So don't say that I'm anti something or something, but what I am is anti you taking away the privacy of American citizens.
That's right.
You didn't like the Patriot Act, and look where we are today. You didn't like how the government was unconstitutionally doing, I'll bring it up, these no-knock warrants. Everybody was protesting Breonna Taylor because Rand Paul was like, that needs to stop. But what is the difference, like you said, when we start protesting in the street with the Patriot Act, with the no-knock warrants because of invasion and not the right procedure? But where does it stop, or why do you agree with people who want to argue with me on Twitter that this card is lawful?
It's really what you do behind closed doors and with your body is your business. Period. What you do for your family is, and I don't even want to go down that road with my body, my choice, right? But here's the thing, right? People will sit out here and say, well, I need to know if you're a spreader. Well, guess what? Yeah, this is what I say to these fools, right? Pneumonia kills a lot of people every year, and it is infectious. Tuberculosis still kills people in this country. So you want people to get random testing for TB and pneumonia and the swine flu every freaking year and carry a card to say that I don't have this. I mean, let's keep it real. You want to know everybody else's business, right? Everybody else's business instead of your own. Guess what? I'm gonna tell y'all personally. See,
especially some of y'all Christians, so-called Christians out there. I'm just on both sides.
Stay away from people. Naturally, I stay away from people because I don't know if people are sick or not. I stay away from people. Even when I'm in the grocery store, I still keep a distance away from people.
I do too.
I don't be all up in people's grills because I don't know if they sick. You know what I mean? I don't know if they coughing and sneezing and what have you.
And don't wash their hands.
Right. And if every single American just go, I mean, and it's natural instinct. You know someone is sick, you don't go by them. You know if they're potentially sick, you don't go by them. But now you want the government to identify who is or is not sick.
Correct.
Walk around with a card and say, I'm not sick, I'm not sick. But you can still be sick.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have that card, you can still be sick.
Right.
So where does the card get you at that point?
Nowhere.
All you're doing is outing people's business. And I thought we're supposed to be minding our own business.
Leave me alone.
Oh, no. Oh, not until you get sick. Right. I can't say it out loud, but you know.
But here's the thing. I know somebody else asked me on Twitter, well, weren't you in the military and you have to get these shots? And so I said, hold on for 1 second. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're
good. And somebody said, well, didn't you serve? And it's really nice lady. I like a lot of people on Twitter, so don't think I don't like you. Some of y'all get on my nerves, and I'm like, oh, Lord. But I haven't blocked anybody unless you're really attacking me, then I'll block you. Because I like to have discussion. So somebody said, well, didn't you serve in the military and you have to have these vaccinations? Yes, but this is the difference. That contract, I'm just picking up a piece of paper, says when you sign your name on the dotted line, this is what you sign your rights away, actually.
Mm-hmm.
When you serve in the military, we don't have the freedom of speech. We don't have the freedom to it's called General Order Number 1. I mean, the rules and regulations are stated. You already know how to wear your hair. You can't have so many piercings. You can't have your nails done like this. I mean, everything, because that is what we signed up, including shots. I've had anthrax. I've had smallpox. I've had tuberculosis. You name it, I had it. And, you know, we get tested once or 2 years for HIV testing, drug testing, random drug testing. I had a high top secret clearance level. At any given time, I was subject to drug testing. So you can't compare the military to what's going on. And yes, I am a civilian now. And I have constitutional rights. And if you didn't want to comply, even physical fitness, guess what? Either you're going to get written up, discharged, or you get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been seeing a lot of the younger people who are saying, you know what? We're not getting this. We're getting out. Police departments, they're suing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, wow. Is the union actually waking up? Because in your contract, if it's not in your contract, and I've said this before, I don't hide it. I used to belong to AFGE. It's the Federal American Federal.
Yep, I know what it is.
Okay, and I was a union rep. If something was not in our contract, you have to go back to collective bargaining.
Yep.
I don't care what Biden said or nobody. You still got to go to collective bargaining. Same thing with the Los Angeles PD or Sheriff's Department. I think I posted
Sheriff's Department. Yeah,
they're suing because it's not in their contract.
Right.
So when you want to start comparing other agencies, it's not in their contract, and that's why they're fighting back, because now they know, okay, now you violated our employment rights because we didn't sign up for this. And that's where people need to understand, when you start working for these government entities, and like Biden said, everybody is exempt under the executive branch and also the legislation branch. They're two different. People say, well, Congress doesn't have to take it because they're not under the executive branch. And Biden said, my staffers don't have to take it. So why are they exempt? Even though I understand the separation of branches, I get it. But ask yourself this, who are people who are non-government. Why are they exempt, but not? Why are we forced to take it, but we have these people in DC, they don't have to take it? I mean, if you even read history, Marie Antoinette, everybody, I'm like, where do y'all get this? Like, oh, just take it. I don't have to take it. I'm healthy. God has blessed me to be healthy so far. Knock on wood.
I want to go back to one of my, I call him my historical mentors, Frederick Douglass, right?
Oh, yes.
Right. He said the limit of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. I just want y'all to stick with that a second, right? Because you can no longer be oppressed by this government unless you give them the ability to oppress you.
Correct.
Right? Correct. And going back to these Supreme Court decisions, right? Going back through all of this stuff that came out of a eugenics era court system. People have to understand this. They started usurping black folks' liberties starting in 1870.
Correct.
With Cruikshank, right?
Correct.
They did all that on purpose.
13th
right?
Amendment.
Yeah, they did all that on purpose, and they keep doing it. Right? I mean, if we even come down the line and we start talking about, and I posted it on Twitter the other day, right? The Virginia Racial Integrity Act, which basically instilled the marriage licenses, right?
Right. I saw you.
That was targeting black people. They were targeting interracial marriages.
Correct.
On purpose during an era of Jim Crow, where if you tried to be with a white woman, they hung you and the white woman.
Correct.
Right? They also, the blood test came out of that, right? To see if you had enough, unpure blood, which they considered Negroes' blood, impure blood.
Yeah.
Right?
That one drop rule.
Yep, the racist one drop rule. This whole statism bit that's coming out of all of this. Even, you know what? I'm gonna say the shot that they're gonna hear around the world. Roe v. Wade was adjudicated incorrectly based on the 14th Amendment.
Yep.
And I know a lot of y'all that's watching this, I was going to be pissed off when I say this, but you got to understand the 14th Amendment was written for the slaves and the slaves exclusively. No, nothing else, none of this crazy immigration stuff coming across the border, all that. It was written specifically for the slaves. You can go look up Thaddeus Stevens. He is the author, the drafter of the 14th Amendment, and exactly what he said during his speech during the Emancipation about Negro equality. The 14th Amendment was specifically written for slaves, but y'all have exploited it for way too many different reasons.
Correct.
And now here we are with this bundle of mess because people didn't know how to stand up for their constitutional rights, right? I mean, hell, Martin Luther King did the right thing. You know why we got the Civil Rights Act, people? Because Martin Luther King, he wasn't out in the street sending all these chants and all this stuff. He went to people's faces and was like, this is what we need to do. He went in the street, had banners, civil rights now, right? We need our civil rights. We need our civil liberties back. And as soon as Martin Luther King saw the Civil Rights Act of 64 passed in 68, the federal government executed that man.
Well, he started talking. Well, you gotta, and I agree. Trust me, I agree. When he started to talk about reparations, when he started talking about getting us back economic empowerment, when he started and even said, I I can't find a quote, but I've heard other Black leaders quote this, even Dr. Claude Anderson, who I tell everybody to follow. He's on YouTube, even with Dr. Boyce Watkins. He has great interviews where he said, I fear that I led my people into a fiery building, because he started waking up. He said, yes, I did all of this, but I think he saw it got misinterpreted. And I know people want to bring up the I have a dream speech, which is misinterpreted as well. But people always bring that up, but they never bring up his other speeches after that speech, where he said, we start championing to do for ourselves economically. And when he started talking about that, that's when they assassinated him. Because Malcolm was talking about it for a long time. But of course, we can have another discussion. It's a cycle. It's like Booker T and W. Du Bois. Then you have Malcolm versus Martin, and now we're just a free for all. And I had to literally look it up how it was. I got cool. And you know, when we start talking about all these rights, especially the 14th Amendment, we can even have another discussion on that, because I had some eye openers about it about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And I said, it literally got hijacked for the wrong reasons. It was just for only us as Black Americans. I mean, you know, my grandparents, my great grandparents, for their citizenship. But I have that court case too, the Chinese guy who they were going to kick out, but that got
Kim Wong-Ark.
That got misinterpreted too. Another guy that I found on YouTube who did a great breakdown video, and I'll send it to you, Rod, and you can send it to your listeners too. But going back to rights, you're absolutely correct. And so I say this to my brothers and sisters, and even my Latino brothers and sisters, we have to really stop this bickering. We have to really start looking at it as, if we're going to complain about our rights and there's systemic racism and there's white supremacy, those of you who are pushing this vaccine card, those of you who are shaming those of us who are against it, especially as minorities, you are no better than Massa's overseer. Because I'm going to tell you something. You want to go out there and you want to start telling us who are minority. I can't speak for anybody else. And us who are Black, yes, I am Black. No, my mother and father are Black. My grandparents, I could do a whole ancestry video for you too, especially when it comes to that, the bloodline. Don't come with me and tell me about white supremacy, because you vote for it. You vote for it. And you want to talk about police brutality and how it's wrong, but you're over here and shaming us who are trying to teach you about vaccination cards and how it violates our rights. You're a hypocrite. Learn the Constitution. Learn it. And you need to, and I'll give a shout out to Sunny, because I like her quote. Sunny Johnson, even listen to Sunny. She's on Twitter. She always says the government closest to you controls you. They did these lockdowns last year at the local government level.
Yep.
Then he did it at the state level.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got the president of the United States saying, I'm sick and tired and frustrated. Well, you know what, Joe? Me too. I'm tired of you. You've been up there before I was born. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of Kamala. I'm tired of everybody up there. I'm tired. I'm tired too, Joe. What have you done in 40 plus years?
Right. And here's the thing, right? That's a good segue.
For the president to say, I'm tired of it and I'm frustrated, that's called a monarchy.
A tyrant.
That's a king. Because they knew it failed at the local level about these mandates, and people were fighting last year. We were in Riverside County going to our county supervisor board meetings and said, we're not doing this. We're not shutting down again. You're destroying small businesses. And I live in a heavy Latino and Hispanic population, and you were destroying their dreams and their businesses.
Yep.
And it didn't happen at the state level where we're recalling this tyrant governor Newsom, King Newsom.
That's a good segue into talking about an American's civic duty, right?
Correct.
Because again, right, the government closest to you affects you. Your liberty will be usurped on the local level before it is anywhere else whatsoever, period. And
Correct.
People have to get that to their point. So for all these people, and I'm calling out both the left and the right on this one, right?
I'm with you.
Trump, Biden, y'all got to cut that. Y'all got to cut that. Tell me who your mayor is. Tell me who your city council member is, right? Tell me who your house rate, school board. When you can tell me all of that, sheriff? Right? Because your liberties will be taken by those people every single time. This is where you need to be. You don't want to be locked down. You go talk to your city council. You go talk to your mayors and you fight them on this all the way to the bank. You fight your governors all the way to the bank, right? You know, you set up protests instead of standing up in front of City Hall or screaming at people, right? You have some people go into City Hall, then you have some people outside with a sign. You will not violate my Fourth Amendment right. You will not violate, right? You will not violate the immunities and privileges clause in the Constitution, right? Correct. Let them know on point. This is what we're here for, not just going and say we're just against the mask. You state exactly what piece of legislation or the Constitution they are violating, so it's in their face. And you chant that.
All you CRT people, all you CRT, I tell people, yeah, you're exercising it, and that's the way to do it. But when people say, well, my rights, to me, my rights are more important.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you do got to pick and choose your battles.
Yep.
Because what they do, they deflect with something else.
Every time.
It was that guy on Twitter, Russo, that started that storm with CRT.
Oh, that Rufo guy. Yeah, Christopher Rufo.
And I said, how much they pay him to distract people on what's coming?
Mm-hmm.
They always do a distraction. They always do a distraction. And then that died down. Mm-hmm. And then we had Afghanistan. I said, wow, this is quick. You got Operation Gladio going on here. Those who don't know Operation Gladio, I'm going out. I mean, you go look it up.
Mm-hmm.
But because Joe messed it up so bad, let's get back to COVID. You got to start looking at this when the news, both the right and the left, and even if you look at news like Newsmax and stuff, you got to look at how they position. You got to study Hitler's propaganda. You got to start studying KGB tactics. You got to study how they go from one thing, one extreme, and then they say, okay, well, that's dying down. So now we got to go to another extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for both sides, because you have to ask yourself, what are you actually trying to hide from us? So now we got this COVID thing, but I'm thinking in my head, what's going to happen tomorrow? Is this something going to be bigger? Is this something going to be more devastating? Mm-hmm. What's going to happen tomorrow or the next 3 hours after lunch or dinner that they're distracting us from?
Right.
But like Rod said, if we're not educating ourselves on these Supreme Court decisions, and I really feel bad because, you know, listening to you, Rod, and I didn't even know those Supreme Court cases. And I started reading them. You know, I'm out here at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, like, wow, we've been doing it backwards for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to get things done, and if you have a frustration level, well, Rod is wrong, Aj is wrong, Sonny's wrong, this person. No, listen. We're trying to teach you whatever issue you got going on. We're trying to teach you how to exercise your constitutional right at the local level, the state level, and the federal level by educating yourself.
Yeah. I mean, and that's it. That's the bottom line. I mean, and I'll preach this all the way to the bank. Like, we have to let these legislators know that it's the legislation that needs to change. There's no all these random chants to get people fired up, right? Because I know that the left and the BLM supporters say that no justice, no peace, no racist police to jeer at the right. We know death, it's a trigger for the right.
They know how to trigger easy.
Right? And then the right, has their millions of different slogans to go after BLM, right? And throw up Blue Lives Matter in their face and All Lives Matter in their face. But see, at the end of the day, people, you got to understand, right? There's one thing you got to understand. Both sides are oppressed in this situation by the same government that is pitting you guys against each other. Your oppression is not your skin tone.
Nope.
Your oppression is the fact that you have allowed the federal government to get by with so much, right? Get by with so much that they can just do whatever they feel like. Whatever they feel like. I mean, I don't know a single person in their mind consciously, going back to the COVID cards, that is okay with medical apartheid. I don't know a single individual that is okay with that. Right?
We already know about medical apartheid.
We just came out of medical apartheid right through slavery and through the middle of Reconstruction to the point where they created a fake disease called drapetomania. And those of you that don't know what drapetomania is, it was a pseudoscience disorder that targeted Black people that wanted freedom. They thought Black people wanted freedom was crazy.
Yeah.
Huh?
And they made up a disease.
Right? This is the same thing, the same principle as that COVID card. Oh, you got a vaccine. The rest of you that don't have a card is crazy.
Mind control.
Mind
control.
But people seem to forget this. And then let me top this off too.
Syndrome.
Let me top this off though, for real.
Go ahead, brother.
These same people talk about our government as a white supremacist government. They scream it. We hear it all the time. This is government's white supremacy. But yet you do nothing. You do nothing to stop the process. I don't care who you elect on the local level, mayor, whoever. Those laws like Terry that gives the police, basically the police state, to do whatever they want to you, it's still on the books.
Yep.
Y'all don't talk about that.
But see, the
and I'm gonna talk about
I'm
gonna talk about Cruikshank again. The court case that usurped your civil, that gave the government the ability to usurp your civil liberties.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about that because those police interactions will go away, people.
Nope.
If you get at least Terry overturned.
Right.
Those things will go away. The over-policing will go away, people. But y'all don't want to hear that because you want to call, and I'm going to throw it out there, you want to call people like me unintelligent. You want to call me a coon. I'm cooning for the man. But let me tell you something, right? And since we're in that context, right? There's a difference between me and y'all. Y'all that want to throw these names at man of justice, right? See, I'm that Negro in the tree line trying to run for freedom. I'm trying to get you. I'm here to get you to come to the tree line to an uncertain freedom. But you want to sit there and either rat me out on the tree line to get shot or beg someone for better conditions in the slop you're already in. Think about that a second. If Harriet Tubman wouldn't have ran for that tree line, we wouldn't even be talking about a 13th Amendment. All the people that try to get her killed by snitching on her because you wanted to improve the conditions that the slave master gave you.
Because he offered you better cornbread pieces.
Then we not the same. We ain't the same. I'm gonna keep running away from the tree line because I want at least an uncertain freedom instead of permanent bondage to something that I don't like. So why put yourself into permanent bondage with the government you call white supremacists? Why subjugate yourself to a white supremacist government, as you call it, and admonish others that are running for the tree line? I can't make it make sense for you.
Nope.
You need to reflect on that, because that type of mentality that you guys have to try to snipe people in the tree line is only going to get everybody caught up. It's going to get everybody caught up, and we're going to be all the same. And you're going to be wondering what happened. And it's like, it's you that happened because you wouldn't stand up for your freedom. You wouldn't stand up for your liberty. You would rather sit in the pig slop you're sitting in right now, hoping to get it cleaned up, when we were running past the tree line to find a place that was better and cleaner.
Yep.
You can take that to the bank.
I'm cashing that check, taking it to the bank and investing in it. Be on Forbes in a month. It's really, you know, when I hear and I'll say this out here, the extreme left crazy liberals talk, I expect that from them.
Mm-hmm.
I do. The DSA groups, the socialist groups, the Antifa groups, I expect that from them. But when I hear our folks try to argue, debate, say we're crazy, we're wrong, but then you have a picture of Malcolm X on your profile, I already know you're a lost sheep. And you have Garvey on your profile. But when you have a picture of Malcolm X on your profile, you never knew Malcolm X. You never studied Malcolm X. You never listened to Malcolm X. And I use Malcolm X as an example because Malcolm warned us about liberals and conservatives. He said at least conservatives, they just tell you flat out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how we feel. Mm-hmm. You can listen to all his teachings. But when you have these pictures up and when you want to say you're pro-black, pro-this, pan-African this and pan-African that, well, get like, what's her name that happened today? They into it, Nicki Minaj or Cardi B and Joy Reid. Y'all want to talk about these female rappers, but was it Cardi B?
I think so. I think it was Cardi.
Okay, and this is from my conservative brothers and sisters and cousins. Y'all got mad at that girl for making that song. Number one, why are you listening to it? Okay.
I thought individual liberty and capitalism was everything.
Okay, why are you listening to it? Don't listen to it.
No, they listening to it.
But now
they listening to it.
Now you're listening to her because you agree for something that she said. See, this is where I tell people we can agree to disagree, but we have something in common. So now she's speaking out against the COVID vaccine. Now Tucker's promoting her, but not too long ago, you were talking mess about her. Which is it?
You got to stay consistent. You got to stay consistent.
I started seeing more conservatives now saying, you know what? Malcolm was right.
No.
Really? I like how you. They want to post the TikTok videos where Malcolm calls out liberals. I don't know if you've seen that on TikTok, but I see more liberals. Conservatives. Oh yeah, look what Malcolm said. But y'all said Malcolm was crazy. He was radical because he was part of the nation and he wanted to separate everybody again. But now because you found a video of when he was talking about liberals, but y'all don't say nothing when Dr. King was talking about reparations.
And that's another good conversation to have, right?
But so you only like black leaders or black entertainers, and when we start saying things that you finally hear that you agree with, and you want to put us, oh yeah, look at Cardi B, she attacked Gregory Reed. Stop with this owning the liberals, conservatives, because you can't.
No, because they control everything. They control everything.
So I'm glad Cardi B said something, but just this past summer when she even attacked Candace Owens, oh no, you can't attack Candace. You can't attack Candace. You need to stop using us as pawns. You need to stop using, I don't care if we're Democrat or Republican, you need to stop using us as pawns and start listening to us. Start reading the things that we post and say and do, and start saying, okay, let's listen and learn how to win.
Yep. Because, and here's the thing, going into 2022, right? And I'm a quasi political strategist, I look at stuff in demographics. The Republicans, let me tell you something. Republican candidates specifically, and I know some of you guys will watch this. You want to get the overwhelming black vote in 2022 and 2024, you need to make sure you ally with Black America. Y'all have gone a long time with bullshit ass outreach to the black community. You have to understand there's a history there why majority of black folks are not vaccinated. Why do you think majority of the get vaccinated commercials are targeted to Black America? I mean, they
rap songs,
right? Yeah, Juvenile, right? Juvenile redid his song. What's that girl name? Amber Ruffin. Yeah. Did the Poison redid the Poison song, and there's many other black entertainers that they got to push this because they know the apprehension of the black community and the history, right?
We call them Zambos.
I won't say that, but you can say she did. But here's my point, people. We're Republicans. Here's my point. This is an opportunity to make that outreach into the black community and make inroads. Because if you are for your privacy and if you are for liberty, you are for freedom of choice, these are votes you can pick up instantly.
But here's the thing.
Instantly.
Here's the thing. And I had to tell this to a lot of people who were around me. How come you invite Candace Owens out? I said, I ain't trying to get shot. Who's gonna shoot you? BLM? We do got. I said, y'all need to get off this mainstream, folks. You guys put up. They're not it. Get away from these talking points and get off the plantation. Number one, I think you on the plantation more than me. You need to stop this. There's no black fathers in a home. I didn't grow up with a black father. I grew up with a single parent. My grandmother raised me. I served the military. I have 3 degrees, and I ran for Congress twice. So miss me on that talking point too. Because every time I hear a school shooting is with other kids who have fathers in the home. So miss me with that.
Right. But let's back up though. Let's back up a minute.
But you need to stop the narratives.
Let's back up. Let's back up a minute. We're going to back up to the black fathers not being in the homes and all that. Let's back up to that in a minute, right? Because this has been the same shtick I've been talking the whole show, right?
I'm tired of hearing it.
Terry v. Ohio is getting black men locked up. Come on now. Terry v. Ohio is getting black men locked up for menial BS like weed, right? Then the 94 crime bill comes along and really clamps down with Terry V. You get the culmination of those two son of a guns together, it's game over.
Because they were
But
super
no one
predators.
wants to talk about that.
Because they were super
No one
predators.
wants to talk. Everybody wants to talk about being a coon and all this nonsense. Oh, yes, I'm going off. But you won't talk about getting rid of Terry v. Ohio. You don't want to talk about the 94 crime bill that they used to exploit black people and throw them into prison. You just want to shout no justice, no peace, no racist police. Y'all can put that shit to fucking bed because it's bullshit. Do something about it. Get these laws, these Supreme Court rulings overturned. Get it overturned, and you don't have to worry about the targeting no more.
Because what people don't understand, they use the least populated people to do this to. Eugenics, no fathers in the home, putting black men and black women against each other. Now we have a problem where you're now complaining about Little Nas X looking like a
pregnant woman.
A pregnant woman. You got the former black president giving him baby clothes. But you wonder why what's going on is all psychological. And that's where the right needs to start understanding what's going on has been happening to us for a very long time. And we've been saying it's happening to us, especially when it comes to the alphabet agencies going into our community and planting drugs and bringing drugs. But as soon as those drugs went to the rich neighborhoods, now you have Nancy Reagan talking about the war on drugs, but the drug problem has been going on for the longest time,
since the 50s, when they brought the
50s.
Heroin, since they brought
everything, and all our black entertainers, unfortunately, they got hooked on heroin, they died of heroin, and you're saying, oh, what's going on? But we've been saying this has been going on in our neighborhoods, but nobody wanted to listen to us.
Yeah, no one
eloquently.
Right.
We were lashed out. We said we're frustrated. We don't trust you. And then you always say, well, how come there's no black wealth? Well, you burned down Black Wall Street because you were mad at us. So I can't, Rosewood, and I can name some other ones. So when we're saying all this to you, and now it's affected your comfort zone, now you are upset.
Right. So there's a question that popped up by
Amanda.
How
do we help bring change to these things, like getting bills overturned? And that's where people like myself are running, having great mentors and friendships with Rod and other people that, if you follow us on Twitter, we call ourselves the Conscious Conservatives, is that we start getting with our current representatives on the federal level and even some on local level to start talking about these bills and making sure that the federal level representatives are educated so we can promote policy and change once we get to Washington, D.C. And let me tell you, even if I don't get elected, I can still go to D.C. and fight.
Yep.
And ask for a House hearing by going to my other representative who says, you know what, Aja, I like this. Let's get you guys into a House hearing.
Right. And I want to add to what she's saying also. The other thing that we can do to help bring change to overturn these Supreme Court laws is, like I said before, right? If you know, I know folks go to Trump rallies and all that stuff, and you know they're televised, right?
Yes.
Here's the beauty of this. You know they're televised. So you should have a 20, 30 foot by 4 foot sign that says, hey, let's overturn Terry, or let's overturn Cruikshank, or don't step on my Fourth Amendment right. Like you have to be on point with the messaging.
I'm going to make that sign. Don't thread on my Fourth Amendment.
Right. I mean, and if you have enough people behind that kind of message, especially when they see it on the TV, they're like, wait, what are these people talking about? Right. It starts influencing, and it starts a domino effect. And people are like, oh, wait, maybe we do need to overturn that. And maybe we need to do this. You know what I mean? But as long as you can't sit out here and chant, oh, you know, make America great again. Make it. No, that does nothing. It's just, it goes into the ether, right? You have to make something poignant that it sticks in your brain. Like, oh, these people are serious. These people want to overturn this, or they want to repeal this. So that's how we do this. But as far as like Terry V is concerned, that's got to come from the federal level, because that's a Supreme Court decision.
Call your representatives. Yep. Sit down with them.
Yep. And just like, hey, we got to overturn this. We got to overturn this. And it's going to take a law to overturn that case law.
Right.
But it can be done. And even on the state level, your state level technically can ignore Terry.
Mm-mm.
They can ignore it because of the 10th Amendment. They can ignore it, right? And write their own bill to basically take away that type of police power. Because at the end of the day, people, you have to understand there's 3 powers of government. You have the enumerated powers, the concurrent powers, and the reserved powers. Public safety is a reserved power that is reserved to the states and local.
Correct.
This is what you got to remember. So your state can write a law to basically take the power out of Terry. But we all know and understand, and this is another conversation for another day, is the fact that our carceral system is a money racket. Mm-hmm. We know this, but that's a discussion for a whole nother day. So when AOC said that our carceral system was a big problem, she wasn't lying. I agree. I mean, she was actually right.
She's actually kind of smart because that girl, people, I made fun of her, but she knows.
Yeah.
She knows.
Yep.
Sometimes y'all gotta, I mean, I make fun of her. I took some jabs, but some things I'm like, she's not stupid. Because she's one of those DSAs that sit there. And when I say DSA, Democratic Socialists, they know the law. They know everything. The government will pay people to not be married. Where did it start? Discourage marriage. You know what?
Yes, the Great Society Act.
Okay.
The Great Society Plan, right? Because that was what started the separation, right? And that steamrolled. You know what I mean? That steamrolled into a lot of
Black community, telling Black women you can't get married, but you can have a bunch of babies. Now we can't even have babies or get married. They're telling Black men you got to be pregnant and wear a dress. I'm just saying. But let me tell you something. That's what you want to do. I don't agree with it. I'm just going to pray for you. But that's what you want to do. You go ahead and do it. But I'm going to pray for you. But there's other great people that, you know, they have a serious issue with it. But I tell them all we got to do is pray for that person. What's his name? Little Nas and all. Just pray for him. But see, I tell people they use young Black men like him, just like they used the gangster rappers during the 80s and the 90s to push that lifestyle of gang banging and selling drugs, the NWAs and the Eazy-E's, and to make it glorious. So now they're using that same technique to say, oh, you can do this, you can do that. Oh, we can wear a dress. We can dress up like this, and it's a psychological system that keeps going on, and they use a demographic that is the lowest in population to start this with. Because sooner or later, as you saw rap evolved, you had the white kids were doing it, the Asian kids were doing it, the Latino, Hispanic kids were doing it. Then it went across the world, you know. And I'm like, you know, it took a little bit longer to do, but that's how they do it. So now you have Little Nas X and some other ones who are doing it, and they're starting with our community, and it's going to go into your community and the next community, and the next. It's a global thing. It's Marxism.
Yep. It is. And this is a great comment right here by Miss Amanda. And you're right. You have to really research on the people you are electing, right? And I think what's his name? Daniel Horowitz. From Conservative Review. He does what's called a Liberty Score. And you can actually go onto Conservative Review website and look at how these representatives are voting.
Correct.
And look at their voting, you know, look at its compiled voting record. It's a good place to start to see how they're voting on certain issues.
Correct.
Right. And certain bills. So that, and you're right, Miss Amanda, we have to
not
be able to research these people.
Not only him, Craig Huey. And
Craig Huey. Yep.
The last election, he gave me a 5-star rating because he rates you by giving you a big questionnaire. And And he even, and the first time he meant to give me a 5, but he gave me a 4. He said, no, Aja, you're a perfect 5. This last election, you're a perfect 5, because it's a questionnaire he sends us based on what level of government that we're running for. So it's not one big questionnaire. It's local, state, and federal. And we have to answer it like almost essay type. And that's how you get your rating. So Craig Huey, he also goes around helping pastors, helping churches, and how to vote based on principle, not popularity. You literally need a small pictograph for some of those branches. Would encourage people to get involved. Pictograph.
Yeah. Explain. A little pictograph.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on.
No, you're good.
Okay. I got new glasses.
I'm trying to post some information real quick. So I just posted it. Those of you that are in the chat, I just posted a link for the Liberty Score that I was just talking about, and you can actually and you can actually go in there and you can actually just click on your state and all that good stuff, and you can see, your senators and all that stuff and what their Liberty Score is.
But can you
what they voted,
also post today that the 2 Supreme Court cases? I think if we get a good coalition, especially with those 2 court cases, we can get something done.
Oh yeah, and
strengthen unity, no matter where we live. We can start a movement.
And I am so down, and I got another cat that I'm working with that has the same exact idea, and he has this kind of the same reach that I have in the social media and radio and podcast sphere. So
we can start a good movement here.
And seriously, I don't care. Again, I don't care if you're on the left or you're on the right or whatever. At the end of the day, yes, I may bicker as a downwinger. I might bicker with the folks on the right, and I might bicker with y'all on the left. But at the end of the day, if they usurp one person or one group civil liberties, they're coming for yours too.
Yep.
And they're coming for yours too. And this is what we got to understand.
Just like that. Oh, go ahead.
Now, that's it. We have to come together and understand that in order for us to keep bickering back and forth with each other, we need to get the real oppressor out of our business, and that is the federal government. Until you recognize, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just like you told me, or we had a discussion about that anti-riot bill where the right thought it was to stop BLM and Antifa, but I was discussing it with the other people. I said, it's going to affect you too on the right, that bill to, it's going to stop BLM and Antifa.
But it's going to stop you too.
It's going to stop you too. So Republicans, you got to stop and think, oh, wow. If we thought it was going to stop them because we disagree.
Right.
It affects everybody.
Because see, what these people have to understand too, speaking of those anti-riot bills and stuff, right? What they have to understand is the fact that majority of protests happen in the cities. So, and majority of cities are ran by Democrats or left-leaning people.
Mm-hmm.
They will attack their political opponents like we're seeing right now. They will attack their political opponents and use a bill like that to do it. All you got to say is, someone called and said these 3 people in the corner was causing a ruckus and chaos.
Yep.
Because they were holding up a Trump sign. Well, there goes your 3rd-degree felony because you advocated for that law because yours and your feelings about BLM last summer.
Same thing with, I go back to the Mulford Act. Oh, we're scared of the Black Panthers and they're communists. But how come I can't open carry in California?
Hello, you did it.
You did it. But they were communists. There's nothing in the Constitution said it applies to Republican, Democrat, Communist, Green Party, or none of that. It just says constitutional rights if you're an American citizen. Has nothing to do with your political ideology. Oh, the lady said, I'm thinking of small ideas. Let me tell you, there is no small idea. There is no small ideas. And those ideas could be the biggest idea to change. So yes,
I'm serious. If we could get a coalition together, right? We could get a coalition together of easily 500,000 people, 1 million people. We can overturn Terry. And this is really, and really for me, I can't stress this enough for my fellow skin folk that worry about police brutality and police oppression. You should be on board with me in helping me getting Terry overturned so we can stop this police business, stop all this reasonable suspicion stuff.
Yeah.
I don't care at this point because it affects everyone. It affects everyone at any given time.
Yeah.
And I can go deeper into all that, but we don't have the complete whole time for that. So I got a radio show to jump on here in about 20 minutes. But
we need a coalition.
We need a coalition.
We need some sensible people on the left. Just
and
like
right.
I'm part of a nonpartisan class action lawsuit. We're trying to get to the Supreme Court to clean up the voter rolls in California.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, well, there's no voter fraud. I even hear people on the right. I said, look, you can go to the Election Integrity Project. It's been documented for over 10 years about the issues we have with voting in California, including mail-in voting. There is evidence. But the way that people have done it wrong, and especially last year, they did it wrong. Okay. And I'm not going to get into all of that because I know Rod has to go and I got to go eat and feed my dogs pretty soon. But if you go to the Election Integrity Project website, you can just Google them and you can see the lawsuit because the things that were documented, we're not trying to overturn our past election. We're trying to get the voter rolls cleaned up and to have a new and better system to vote. And like I said, oh yes, it's all in California. Maureen, go to Election Integrity Project. And I'm part of that class action lawsuit. When I say it's nonpartisan, because we found some Democrats who were saying, yeah, there is issues. So we can come together with like-minded, because I always say we all have everything in common, unless you're an extremist, extreme right, extreme left. You're not going to get anything done with them. But if we, as people who are concerned about our livelihoods, we can get Terry overturned. We can get a lot of these things overturned. We just got to come together as a coalition. Doesn't matter what party. It's about being an American citizen. I'm to that point. Just being about American citizen, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whoever. You know, whatever you even identify with. If you're part of, one group versus another group, and you say, hey, what you guys are saying is absolutely right. Come have that discussion. Because it is our civil liberties.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? That's the problem that I have with the people, because I opined a little bit, but not like fully what I was thinking on the whole potential election stuff that happened, right? I don't want to say it because it might get banned on YouTube. But my thing is that when you discredit people that actually think they have a grievance, you're also silencing yourself later down the road.
Correct.
Right? Because we go back and we think about.
Thanks, Amanda.
We go back and think about what has happened in American history in this country to Black America, particularly as we've had sent out warnings. This is what's been going on. Oh, no, you're not. You're just playing victim. And then when it hits you, now you got a problem.
War on drugs. Another example.
You got a problem. Yeah, war on drugs. Look at fentanyl right now. Right? That's another topic of conversation that we can get into later. But my point is the fact that we really need to focus on holding on to our civil liberties and listening to people that may be opposing, right?
Correct.
Because here's the thing with me. I don't know about the rest of these people. I know Aja will agree with me. If it would have been Donald Trump that that the left had a problem with, they think he cheated, I would be right on board with you. I would be right on board. Okay, let's look at it and see if there's no hanky panky. The same thing in my Bernie Bros. I know you guys, some of you are watching. I love you guys too, even though you know I'm not down with you. But I stood with the Bernie Bros, that back during the primary when they got cheated out of their primary. I stood out there with them
twice.
Yes, twice, because they were cheated out of their vote. The DNC said, no, you don't know who you're voting for, and usurped their vote from them. That's a problem. And if I can be man enough, even though I don't agree with you on different issues, but when it comes to your civil liberties and your rights and the government and people are usurping them, I will stand by you 100%, because it can happen to me too. And again, going forward to this whole 2020 election, you can deny that there is any quote unquote any fraud, but just remember, in 2024, when it comes up and you guys start hollering about fraud, I'm going to pull your whole card and call bullshit on you, and I'm going to drag you from here to the end of Alaska, because we're going to remember this moment. I will remember this moment in time, and I will make sure I drag you to Alaska, because it will be full of bogus BS, and your faint-hearted, quote-unquote, compassion will not be warranted here. Period. We're done. We're done with that.
Mic drop. But I like the idea. Thank you, Amanda. Yes, they did Bernie wrong twice. And that's where we need to start paying attention on our own side. Mm-hmm. And we need to pay, instead of worrying about the other side, and we need to start educating each other on both sides, because it's all part of the fix. It's all part, just like I did a video today to go vote, and I started bringing up, it's time to break up this political dynasty here in California. And we have to start paying attention who we're voting for, not because they're popular, not because they have the catchy phrases and all of this other stuff. Sometimes you gotta listen to that underdog. I've always been an underdog. And now people are coming to me, even my Democrat friends are saying, you know what you've been saying for the last 4 years is true. Mm-hmm. And even when I was exposing my political opponent when it came to child sex trafficking, how he voted against bills that persecute online sex traffickers, I'm like, well, but you're a Republican. But you vote for the guy that favors pedophiles. But you can't look past the R next to my name. And that's what we need to stop. You can't look past well, you're a Republican. No, I'm Aja Smith first, an American citizen that took an oath of office because I served in the military, and I want to make sure everybody is protected underneath the Constitution.
Yeah, but the biggest issue is a lot of our skin folk don't think the Constitution is written for us. And and you know what I say about that? If you don't think the Constitution is written for you, denounce your citizenship. No. Go denounce. If you think for a minute this Constitution was not written for you, denounce your citizenship and roll out. That's real talk. Because obviously you're going to be lawless if you don't think the Constitution applies to you, but the Constitution gives you the right to say it doesn't apply to you. So either you partake in the whole thing or just denounce your citizenship and roll out like an Autobot.
And don't talk about you violated my rights, police officer.
But
you said the Constitution don't apply to you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But the police officer violated my rights. He came to my house, even with the warrant. Yeah. But you're not a citizen.
No, not at all. Nope.
No, don't apply to me. But like you said, people on both sides don't look past the First and Second Amendment. They don't look past it. They don't know you got a whole bunch of other amendments. Pick an amendment, start learning about it. I started doing that. Pick an amendment. We do it every Sunday. We pick an amendment and start talking about it.
Yep.
And, people are like, oh, we didn't know about, of course, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, because that's what we're all taught. We don't look at the 4th, the 5th. Yeah, you plead the 5th. That means you keep your mouth shut. But we don't look at any other amendment. Nope. We only talk about what's popular and what triggers people. And when I took civics class, I took it twice in my life, college and then another group. And the teacher said, are you going to be a pawn? Are you going to play checkers or chess? And I said, you got a point here. Checkers or chess? Are you going to be a pawn or a rook?
Yes, ma'am.
Right now, everybody is pawns. But everybody get mad at us rooks, and then you have the queens and the king. Of course, I get that. You didn't get mad at the bishops, but you rather play checkers than chess. And that's both sides. They find a issue to get everybody triggered and fight amongst each other while they're doing something behind closed doors. Like I said, tomorrow could be something new. We went through COVID, CRT, back to COVID. That didn't work. Now we're going to do this in Afghanistan. Okay, that didn't work. Now we're going to go back to COVID. Tomorrow, I'm just waiting for Transformers to land.
That would be hilarious.
I'll
be out by Area 51. Like,
I'll say that was, you called us conspiracy theorists.
Like, they should change conspiracy theorists. They should change conspiracy theorists to future truth tellers, because I'm just saying
where that name came from. They said that
the CIA,
because they said, "Oh my God, these people are knowing the truth. So let's make them look crazy." Bill Cooper, a great example. Bill Cooper.
Yep, Bill Cooper.
They made that man look crazy for years, and of course they killed him.
And then everything he said,
they killed him.
And everything he said has just went bloop bloop. We're like, like what? You know what I'm saying? Like,
if anybody doesn't know Bill Cooper, go look him up. Look at his YouTube videos. I found him maybe 20 years ago when we started getting internet and stuff. I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty interesting. Yeah, but he's crazy. Them crazy people know. Us crazy people. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
No, yeah, but Alex Jones too. Alex. I like Alex, but sometimes I'm like,
you know what though? Speaking of Alex, I actually seen a video he did. He did like 2 or 3 years ago about our current situation with the Rona, with a doctor. It was like, yeah, this is going to happen. And she called this out like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting, I watched that video yesterday.
Remember that.
I was like, this. That's all I had to say. Like, he right. He was right, but they want to censor him. They call him crazy. And yeah, he has some crazy stuff to say, and he's a little outlandish.
But I like Alex. I like InfoWars. They had me on a couple of times, with Owen. So I like
Owen Schroyer. Yeah.
Now here's another person that you guys need to go follow is Reza Islam.
Oh yeah,
Reza Islam from the Nation of Islam. Boy, he was on Alex Jones.
Yep.
And he said flat out, I'm not here to convert folks. I'm here to educate and enlighten people and wake them up about these vaccines. And I'm telling you, this young man,
Reza, own it, boy.
Brother, he's hitting the streets.
Yep.
He's confronting the CDC in Atlanta. He's having doctors on panels. He is out there. RIZZA Islam. And he's censored right now. So you have to go to Got Censored on Instagram because Twitter took them off. Facebook took them off. They all took them off. And I said, I'm praying to God they protect them. Young man. And he has the best knowledge. Go follow Reza or Reza.
Yeah. He's definitely good people.
I said, I hope I get to meet him because he's here in California near me. And whenever he's in town, I said, hey, I'll come to LA. We'll meet up.
Right.
And get you guys linked up. But everybody, we got Amanda and Marlene cracking up. They said that's a great idea. Knowledge truly is powerful.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm going to have, thanks for having me on. Please pray for us in California. Today is the big day. Today is the big day for us. Get out and vote.
Yes. California, do your thing.
Vote
do your thing. Yes, do your thing. Vote yes. All that good stuff.
I voted. Vote yes.
Yeah, she
Get rid
voted.
Of this political dynasty.
I didn't vote because I'm not in California. My bad. But I show solidarity. I'll put on a fake one right here.
The heart.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I got a crooked finger. All right, y'all. I'll be on Twitter. I'll be on Instagram. Thank you once again, Rod. Thank you, everybody who listened to us. Let's get something going. Let's get it going.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
So we can educate and get these certain laws overturned. If you're at a rally, say, hey, don't infringe on my Fourth Amendment right.
Yep. Exactly. So until next time,
make America great again. Let's get these laws overturned.
Yep, that's how we're gonna make it great again. So until next time, y'all. As y'all always say, life, love, liberty, and happiness. We'll see y'all later on the Southern Liberty podcast at 9:30 p.m.
And
Eastern.
God bless everyone. Be safe out there.
Yes. Peace.